Welcome back. This is the second time I've done this video today because I realized the first time I was recording the screen, I thought I was recording the screen of this iPad, and instead I was recording Wirecast's little welcome splash screen the entire time, so made the video pretty useless. Anyway, on a side note before I get started, creating YouTube videos like this one, they're a lot harder than you'd think. I have a camera on my desk. I have a screen. The camera is recording on its own and then hooked to a little preview monitor so I can see myself over here. The laptop is running Wirecast and it's recording an HDMI output from the iPad down here and no audio. And then I have this microphone running to a mini recorder, a Tascam, down under here because I don't have enough inputs in the mixer behind me. The iPad is down here. It's running HDMI over there. It's running USB connected to the Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK, MTK mixer behind me. Coming out of that mixer on a sub mix, hopefully this works. It's recording everything running through the iPad, so all the drums should be. Well, I might not have all the channels set right, so that's the whole point of this video. So there's a GoPro up here, and studio lights, and there's a bunch of stuff that I can't leave up all the time because it's things I use all the time in my office or for other shoots or things like that. So it took me like an hour to set up for this. Okay, so what am I going to cover today? I just bought an iPad Air, and I wanted to be able to multi-track on the Air using the Soundcraft mixer behind me without a laptop. My first thought was, sweet, GarageBand, you can run in GarageBand and then you can just dump your files over into Logic on the desktop and get editing done. Well, that might work for most interfaces, but GarageBand's hard-coded outputs are channels 1 and 2 on whatever device it finds. This Soundcraft uses channels 11 and 12, and I cannot change that. Now, there's a cool little app called Audio Bus that's probably worth owning anyway. I bought that and then realized Apple will not allow GarageBand to be used. It will not let you use GarageBand as an output running into Audio Bus so that you can reroute the output through Audio Bus into channels 11 and 12. You cannot choose GarageBand. You can send things into GarageBand. You cannot send things out of GarageBand. So that was pretty much a bust. After that, I looked at a couple other options. I tried this Multitrack DAW, and it worked for the first day. And then I ran into a technical glitch, and I could hear things coming from it if I hit play. But once I routed it out to 11 and 12, I could only hit play. Nothing would record. I could hit record, but no meters were bouncing. It wouldn't bring anything in. If I turned off Audio Bus, I could record, but I couldn't hear anything. So the meters would bounce and I could probably lay a track down, but I couldn't hear myself except live off the kit, in the room. Then I tried something called AUM, and it's pretty slick, but it is not like a standard DAW. You don't see the tracks running. You don't see all the waveforms laying down. It's very kind of abstract. It's pretty cool, but it just didn't turn out to be the right thing for me. So then I found this Audio Evolution, and it's only $10, and it so far has worked perfectly. So I'm going to show you. Here's all my tracks. I actually use 1 through 7. And then tracks 8 and 9 are actually 9 and 10 on the board behind me because you can only use one interface. I have 2 behind me, but I'm coming out of I have a little stereo Behringer interface, and it's running my overheads just as a preamp and a phantom power. Then it's coming out of that and into the TRS jacks on a stereo channel 910. I could have done one channel, but I decided to break it into 2, so I had 2 separate files instead of a stereo file. But at the bottom of these, there's a tiny little dot, and you can switch into the setup for each of those channels. So right now, yeah, these are not set right. So there's the Soundcraft. So I need mono 1, mono 2, mono 3, 4, 5, oops, 6, 7, and then these will be 9 and 10. And then if I hit next again, I go to the master and I need to make sure it's on 11, 12, which it is. Now you just keep tapping next. Okay, now if I switch all these back over and record enable them, sometimes I don't get any sound until I try to record the first time. So let me tap again. Here we go. Let's get the playhead over here. So, yeah. Gotta love the metronome. All right, so what you're hearing, because I'll turn this off when I play, you're hearing the microphones running into the Soundcraft, out of the Soundcraft with USB, recording into this. Now I'm actually recording into a mini recorder off of the board, just as because if I hit play on this, you won't hear anything. You're only going to hear, you would have only heard what I recorded into this, pulled out of this, and stuck into the edited video. And so instead, I wanted to be able to get any sound I made out of here, including playback. So let me turn on the metronome again. Do a count in. And I'm going to hit record. All right, now if I hit play, let me turn off the metronome. Yeah, there you go. So what you're hearing is straight through the mics, the preamps on the board behind me, the Soundcraft, some reverb on the master channel, which I'll show you in a second here, and I added gates, which I haven't even tweaked, because mostly I'm going to use this to track, and then I'll pull the file off and edit it in Logic. The other cool thing is I should be able to we have drum mics at my church, but just going into a little mixer. It doesn't even really have, it has effects, but they're not that great. I should be able to take the mixer, my mixer, and my iPad, my interface, set it up at church, just plug our mics into the mixer behind me, and pull this up, tweak the effects. Right now I have the reverb really high. I might buy a better reverb. And I'll show you how the audio units work on this in a second. But it's just a tiny little setup. Don't need a laptop. Just the iPad, the mixer, the little interface. Set it up next to me. I can clamp it like this, so I don't have to worry about, dealing with a full-size laptop. And I can multi-track and send a signal to the house, so they can pump it out through the webcast or put it in the house or whatever they want. So it's pretty slick. So let me show you. If you tap on one of these, you can choose. See, here's the gate. You can remove the gate. Let's see. But there's all kinds of other stuff in here. There's reverb. So if I go to the master channel, so I'm not going to do it on this. Turn off the grid. Let's see. If I go to the master channel, and pull up the grid. You can see I've got reverb on it. I could bypass it. So that's raw. That's raw audio from the drum mics through the preamps. I have not done anything to the EQ. I've panned it, and that's it. So you can hear some weird overtones because I haven't done any EQ at all. Just turned the reverb on and added a gate to some of the channels. So at some point, I'm gonna figure out how to. Yeah, well, there's tutorials that I need to watch, obviously, because I can't figure out how to switch what channel I'm looking at here. It's just stuck on 9. But you can see them all here. So if I pull up, there's the gate for the kick drum. And you can mix, although I don't believe the mix has anything to do with what gets recorded, like most digital audio workstations. There's some EQ. I haven't touched it. I was trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to show, but after buying a whole bunch of those apps, this one for $10 turned out to be the best solution. And I just need to tweak the EQ a bit. I might add a EQ through the effects grid instead. And I could add audio units. Rough Rider is a compressor, so I can add a compressor to the kick drum. Seems like I need to gate the snare a little more. You can hear it. All right. But that's pretty much what I wanted to show today. It's a slick little setup. Yeah, I still, I love Logic. I love having a laptop with the full system, but having this down here, if I wanted to, I could run a MIDI track, plug in a keyboard, and mount my keyboard next to me and do like pads, and then play the kit and do pads, which I've done in the past for worship and stuff. But anyway, I keep saying anyway. That's just what I wanted to go over today. I didn't know if there were other people out there struggling with this mixer. If you've got an audio interface that just uses 1 and 2 as the outputs, then you can use GarageBand all day long. I hope eventually Apple adds the ability in GarageBand for iOS. GarageBand on the desktop, you can choose your outputs. GarageBand on iOS, you cannot choose your outputs. So I don't know if anybody watching this has any clout with Apple, but I would love for them to make that change. But until then, this is my go-to mixer for tracking on my iPad. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.